Hello, and welcome to my favorite albums of 2022. It's apparent I'm kind of 9 days late, or I'm already 9 days into 2023. And this video, of course, there's always gonna be a bunch of people doing things like this, anyways. But I felt like um, I will share my thoughts, my ideas, blah blah blah. You feel me? Um, Why? Well, I think like early in this year, I kind of wanted to get more into audio, become more like an audiophile, but I didn't want to be like one of those who just cared about the gear, who just bought gear, but like didn't really listen to any any good music or try to, you know, stay in the same lane, listening to like, boring stuff, not very, I don't know, not expanding my palette. You feel me? I didn't want to become one of those. I wanted to like try to get something in the middle while like listening to new stuff, getting into music, and also getting into the music gear too. You feel me? So that's been and I definitely feel like I've taken much more interest compared to the years before, and I'm just gonna share what I liked. In my opinion, this was a very great year in terms of releases. I feel like a lot of big players just released a lot of very high quality stuff, even towards the later end of the year. Like even towards like later end, we still had we had Nas, we had Little Sims, SZA, on the way. Like there's not much we could ask for except maybe like people that released in 2021, like J. Cole or Tyler, or something, blah blah blah. Not much, and I'm very grateful. I've had, I don't think there was ever like a boring period for me. Um, you know, yeah. Keep in mind, these are not going to be reviews. These are just going to be thoughts. These are like I'm just going to say why. I'm just going to give brief examples. Hey, I'm going to say this. I liked this. Why did I like it? And I'm going to just share my experience with it. It's not going to be anything more. Very simple stuff. Don't say like if I critique, whatever. Don't take it too seriously. There's not much thought, and that kind of goes to show. I kind of separate them into like categories, into like three categories, um, of just stuff in like, and they're not going to be ordered inside the categories, but the only really ordered thing is going to be my final section, which is like the top of the top. I think it's like top eight. I think in that section. So yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna give some examples of albums that I um, kind of I feel like I missed out or I didn't give enough time to, and that would be one of them. Would be SZA, would be SOS, and I'm gonna like put a show of like an image of the album cover, anyways, for 10 seconds. So when people go through YouTube, they could probably click it. I don't know if how that will be executed, but yeah, SZA's SOS. In my opinion, it was very towards the later end of the year, so I feel like I didn't have much time towards towards like truly appreciating it or experience it. It is her first album in like a long time since freaking whatever Control. Um, so of course, a lot of people are excited about it. I am pretty interested in it. I think I will explore it in 2023, but in 2022, I can't say it was in my best because it released such later in year. But I do um, acknowledge that it contributed to 2022 and the great releases in 2022. Um, Next, I will talk about this album. Another thing that released during the exact same time period. Um, Little Sims, No Thank You. I've listened to it quite a few times, but I don't feel like I've truly taken enough. Um, this is a much more casual, much more less conceptual, I guess, compared to Simbi. Um, so oh my gosh. So it's not really so of course it's not going to be as great, but I think she's truly cemented herself as one of the best MCs in the current day. With this release, only a year later, from Sometimes I Might Be an Introvert, and it's still very very enjoyable experience. I just really like it. Not much else to say in this section. I'm always just gonna say I'm gonna like it because I don't think I've had enough time with these releases. Um, you know. Then I'm gonna do one of the album from one of my from an artist I really like, of course. Very very beloved. Very beloved artist. It is Carly Rae Jepsen's "The Loneliest Time." People love Carly Rae Jepsen in the music world. You know, I think I like "Emotion" is probably one of my most played too. Both side A and side B. I don't think I've taken the time to truly look at this for some reason. I think I was probably more distracted in other releases at the time. It didn't really but of course I've listened to it once or twice. I recognize it to be good. I just haven't found myself devoting time into it enough. Also, there's going to be, of course, there is also this record. It is Ways Blood and In the Heart's freaking stuff. Yeah. Whatever long ass name. And In the Darkness, Hearts Aglow. Great pop record. Nothing else I could really say. It's not really something I felt like I would like, but I think I like it. It definitely gets some well reception, especially in I've just seen it online, recommended a lot. This is a cover that's truly memorable or maybe even like iconic, I'd say. I don't know. It's something that's like when I saw it, I kind of wondered what it was, and then I listened to it, and it was a very enjoyable experience. I definitely would recommend it to somebody, but I can't say why. Yeah, because I haven't truly listened to it. Next, I'm just gonna go over this one really quickly because it's not really something. I should have prepped this beforehand, but that's not really what I do, I guess. Always, Blue Rev. It's I haven't really gotten into shoegaze yet, or I'm pretty sure this is shoegaze. I don't really know. I've listened to it once. I don't even know what freaking it is. But I've heard that I've definitely a lot of people seem to really like this record online. It's kind of like a sleeper pick, from my understanding. And it's just something that I really haven't gotten into yet, which is kind of sad because, and I don't know, I haven't heard of Always yet, so I feel like I'm kind of when I truly get in, I kind of want to be in a period where I can actually focus and try to appreciate them because I guess I didn't have the time in 2022 to fully get to their album yet. And then lastly, to round up this quick section, Soul Glow's Diaspora Problems. I think there's been just very very much a lot of love towards this record that I guess I haven't really gotten or understood yet fully. It was very, at least, intense. It's like the first time I listened to Death Grips. This is kind of what I was experiencing. It felt very high tempo, very aggressive at times. And I feel like I need to ease into it a little bit more to truly get to a point where I start listening to, meanings and stuff. All right, next, let us get into the actual section where I'm going to go into albums that I felt like I enjoyed but aren't stand out enough to stay in my mind out of the context of 2022. So basically albums that, like, if you're in 2022, okay, sure, but I don't feel like in the future it's going to be bumped by me as much. They still contribute to like greatness of the entire, of the year, but like not not they don't contribute as much as it does to like the decade. They're not going to be in like a top decade list or stuff like that. But top year, okay, sure. At the bottom of the list though is Her Loss by 21 Savage and Drake. Not the most like starting off with this does not paint a good picture for my list. Starting off with this does not, at all. It kind of makes me sound mainstream, but this, that's okay. I think this record was very exciting, was very fun, it was energetic. I can see some replay value. There is, of course, skips. I don't see me returning it too often. I'm not the biggest fan of Drake, especially recently, of course, with Honestly Nevermind and Certified Lover Boy, stuff like that. He hasn't put much, interesting records, in my opinion. But I feel like this album was just something that, like, a collab with 21. Drake needed 21 to collab to make a good album. Okay, sure, I will take it, and it's a pretty decent album that at times I feel like it's kind of wacky, like the freaking Daft Punk interpolation. That was kind of, I don't know. It was just kind of not as played, not as unique, not as creative as I would expect from a top hip hop track. You feel me? From a sample, I didn't feel like that was utilized as much as it should have been. You feel me? But like, this is an album that, okay, if like, this is not, like, in my opinion, this album is not designed for people like me. It's gonna be for like the probably people who like the mainstream person. They have AirPods in and they're going to, like, they're in the gym right now. They're doing that stuff. That is not me, but I definitely see people like that, playing that record, of course, or playing Drake in general. You feel me? Next album, of course, another album that I enjoyed in this year was Crest by Blade and Echo 2K. Very short, only 9 songs and 30 minutes. It's a great length for me. In this genre, I feel like in genres I don't really experiment, or I'm not too well versed in hyperpop and stuff like that. Like, this is like Domo music. You feel me? It's not something that I truly delve into. But this album for some reason kind of connected with me as from something like compared to a lot of other records that I've kind of tried into. This one was an album that was a surprise, to say. This is one of the first Drain Gang projects that really really kind of resonated. This is one that I returned to. You know, of course it's unique. This is like new wave type stuff. This is something that if you like it and you really like it, it's hard to go to other artists. It's hard to translate to other people, of course. Except for, like, Blade. This is music that a lot of people say that gets you over time. You kind of force yourself to like it, and then when you really like it, and then when you like it, you can't, it just, it's hard liking much else. It's to me it was calming. It was gentle. It was lush. There was a lot of focus on the soundscape, the production, the focus on the vibe. It was kind of like, I don't know. It was like, while it could be as like daunting or like, it's truly comforting. It's like a, I don't know. Like I compare it to like, modern day Kid Cudi. It's like a hug for the average freaking guy who skates. You feel me? I don't know. It's therapy music, but for popular teenage men. Um, Songs that shone for me were like White Meadow, The Flag Is Raised, stuff like that. But the entire album is filled with many, many, many shining, exciting moments. For only 30 minutes, it's something you should try out. Maybe it will connect with you. It certainly connected with me. Next, we're going to go to one of the albums that, again, came out in December, actually. Very, very late towards the year. This is... Oh, let me pull this up. This is Heroes and Villains by Metro Boomin. This album, I'm really not too well versed into producer led albums. They tend to not be as interesting to me, but this one kind of return to it a lot. I kind of like it. This is, to me, like I'm not too well into trap music, I guess. A little out of my character, as but I found this album very fun, very animated, very energetic. There's a lot of memorable lines, you know, like songs like freaking Too Many Nights, of course, Don Toliver, very catchy, stuff like that. Like freaking 21 Savage saying, "Oh, he's clutching glizzies with the fellas." Metro Boomin, of course, has great production. Of course, it's a producer led album. What can you expect? I felt like it was a little bit safe, in my opinion. Not as when I think of like really, really really good albums, I kind of want something a little bit more interesting, a little bit attempting something more. I felt like this was relatively tame, not as, not going for something bigger, but it was consistent, and it was pretty well nice. I think he adds a lot to the verses, the I think like the production, like the beat selection, of course, the beats, they play to many of their strengths. Of course, I do feel like there's of course some weaker moments in the album, which kind of makes me go out of the album a little bit more. But this, to me, this is not really. To me, this doesn't strike me as one of those sit down type albums. This is like. This is, this is something that, like, oh, the cool guy wears in his AirPods while walking around campus, while doing something, whatever, while feeling cool. This is an album that makes you feel cool. Concept of heroes and villains. While it is present in the album, I did not feel like it was as conceptual as it could be, especially towards the later half of the album. I wouldn't say all performances were very interesting, of course, but that's okay. What can you expect? Of course, even the people who are on the album, they aren't too well out there as well. They're kind of like people who have already collaborated with Metro, who you expect on a Metro beat, stuff like that. You have very prevalent trap artists. Metro make the beats, blah blah blah, and then you have Future, whatever, Travis, blah blah blah, 21. That's it. Feel the Fire, Take Off First. I don't know. Last Take Off First, but I don't know. Whatever. Low key, the verse is kind of bruh because of the ABC type rapping, which I don't know, kind of felt a little bit corny to me. But to others could see as clever. I think it does stand as again, a good album, contributes to the good to 2022, but it doesn't. I don't see it. Thinking of the album outside of 2022, stuff like that. Um, it's a good album in Metro's catalog. I think it really adds to it, but it wasn't that good to make me want to persuade to explore or recommend anything else. This is an album that maybe has a dark atmosphere, and that's really it. I think it's very still, like I said before, maybe it's a little bit more bland. I think it maybe lacks a bit of personality, of course. Um, but isn't shining on his own. Metro doesn't really shine on his own to me. He's more like seasoning to these already well established people, which is that's his role. Um, it's a great late night driving album, of course, in my opinion. I've actually experienced driving. My friend played it on. Oh yeah, this is an album that you put on the aux. This is an album that I would recommend to a normal person, like an average guy. This like whoever who doesn't listen to too much music. This is like probably something that I think they would kind of take seriously. This is something that would they could replay. Like I've had one of my friends. This is probably their favorite album of so far. They've been replaying it for like days now, ever since they like discovered it. Um, they've just been on repeat, even while studying. It's kind of getting a little bit obsessive or like an addiction. I don't know. He just replays the album, and it's just kind of weird. I think it's still. I think maybe I would. It's in the upper of this section, but it's pretty nice. Next album, we have. Sip. Next album, we have Vinyl Days by Logic. Honestly, a surprise for me. I'm not the biggest fan of coming back to Logic projects as of recently. Um, I did like you know No Pressure, which I think he released 2 years ago. Pretty okay. I don't return to it though, but I think it was pretty good. He seemed to have like a bounce back. This one is kind of, it feels like a huge homage to um, to hip hop culture. Like the album cover itself has a lot of references too that goes back to like old stuff, yada yada. He's like a freaking rap geek, whatever. You know. This album, however, is very very long. 1 hour 11 minutes. Not okay. That was a little bit of an exaggeration. Not very very, but it's still kind of considerably longer than I would want. In terms of having a Logic project, I don't see me going towards. These songs are short. There are 30 songs, and okay, so 30 songs. Whoa, 1 hour 11 minutes is one or whatever. 1 hour, yeah, 1 hour 11 minutes is not too long for 30 songs, I guess. You got some cool interludes too from Nardwar and Anthony Fantano, stuff like that. It's a very casual, replayable album, but again, with this Logic album, I don't see me going back to it. I'm not the biggest fan of his, of course, but I think it truly shines in the context of 2022, which I say again, objectively, I don't think it's the best. I think maybe it's too long, a bit bloated. Some songs, maybe I don't connect with as much, but it's a good casual listen that like I can play when I want to refresh on some of this. This is like what old blah 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 stuff like that. Yeah, good, good. I would recommend, not to everyone, but it's still pretty cool, pretty cool. Um, next. Dawn FM by The Weeknd. Again, full of bangers. What could I say? Synth pop star Weeknd returns. Remains consistent. Well, it's not my favorite Weeknd album, I don't think, yet. Maybe I can I need to truly get a little bit more time into it, but I think it's been on replay enough that I it definitely do. It's one of the good ones that keeps us through the year because I think this released very early, like maybe January or something. I don't know, but it's very conceptual, of course. Maybe um, as conceptual as I could want it to be from like a pop album. It's radio music with a radio theme. It's, I guess you could say, it's more old school, more I'm not sure what year, but it's something 80s, 90s. I don't, whatever. Um, Synth, blah blah blah. Bam. I think, in my opinion, they were very cohesive. I think the songs, rather than 16 separate songs, they felt more like 16 individual parts to this one big album that is, or one big thing that is Dawn FM, of course. It is grand. It is big picture. It is. It got some transition. It got Carey. It's groovy. It's catchy. There's hits that should be bigger than they are, and this is an album that is a pop album that deserves a lot more respect. That I think gets a bit slept on towards the end of the year now, especially it was pretty consistent to me, in my opinion. I felt like there was, not as much weak points, but I think towards this entire year, I think it really grew on me. I think, but I still don't find myself returning to it as much. It's, I think it kind of, in the context of my list, I think this one kind of shines as its own thing. It kind of is distinct, or it's an outlier. Um, you know. But however, I think there's more. There's albums I do enjoy a lot more than this. It's a good album to visit every once in a while, to groove out. It's a nice casual listen. But of course, there's gonna be albums that I pick over this. It's not. I don't think it's gonna age in my collection, but I think it pays well into this. I think maybe trilogy that Weekend is putting out with this. This is a good one. Um, this is a good addition. Yeah, I assume it would be good for late night drives, of course. Especially like radio type shit, right? Stuff like that. Next. Oh. What could it be? What could it be? What could it be? Oh, it is. It's actually Billy Woods, Ethiops. This could be a little bit surprising if you've heard this album, because a lot of people really, really, really love this album, and to me it didn't as connect as fast as I felt like others did. To me, this, I don't see it was. I don't know. I think I need to really get into this side of hip hop a lot more. This underground type thing, specifically stuff like this and like Earl Sweatshirt. I think I need to drain in my brain a little bit more, or listen to a bit more carefully. Um, I found this particularly maybe harder to enjoy all the time as much as the ones that come in the next section. Um, it got some jazz elements. It's short. It's only 39 minutes. This is like intelligent uh, hip hop, very thought out. There's some themes of it, probably like friggin' Africa, especially with the name. I think Ethiops is like Ethiopia, something like that. Um, and I'm pretty sure the cover is something meaningful too. I'm not really sure. It's very dense, so I don't really understand it fully yet. I've tried comprehending it, but I've watched a few videos on it talking about it. It still hasn't connected with me yet, but I think this is something that will be a sleeper pick, um, in in the context of the entire decade to some. But for me, because it's my list, you know, he may be the voice for the poor and the forgotten, um, in this album, but it doesn't really. It didn't. Even then, I have to enjoy the album, and I didn't as much as I wanted to with this album. However, still at like I didn't enjoy it as much all the time, but this is still very nice. Yeah. Okay. Next. What is next? Oh, okay. My next album is Freddie Gibbs' Soul Sold Separately, or Triple S. The Triple S Hotel. He is in this utopia. I don't know. Not utopia. His freaking world is, I don't know, going bruh. Pretty okay, pretty good Freddie Gibbs album. It's kind of not as experimental or out there as I kind of want it to be. I think Freddie Gibbs doesn't really go as that kind of guy, I guess. Um, it's more just him releasing, okay, pretty solid, pretty nice bars over pretty good beats. And that's kind of what you expect from Freddie Gibbs. But compared to his other albums with soul producers, it's not as interesting to me. But it's very consistent over experimentation here. However, he's very consistent, very talented MC. Technically, he's probably one of the most respected. It's a solid piece of work. From somebody who's already established. Like, this is something that maybe I wanted a bit more hunger, a bit more thirst. Like this does not, I don't think really, this adds to consistency, but it doesn't really, it's not a game changer. Only 46 minutes though, themes of blah blah blah, world ending, Triple S Hotel. I think him trying to record this album, stuff like that. It's very dark. It's very vulnerable. There are some soul samples that I thought were pretty okay. Some skits were kind of weird, like there was one where he's talking about freaking rabbits. He was having intercourse with rabbits, and he was selling crack to Michael Jackson. And the one with Joe Rogan having mushrooms Kevlar underwear and extra bullets. I don't know what that meant. Stuff like that were kind of weird, and they were kind of like at the end of the song, so did they ruin? I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Something that, like, if I guess added humor to it, I would laugh to it, but I don't know. Of course, there's gonna be some shines in the album. There's highlights in the album. There's some slower ends, but I think there remains very consistent. Great opener too. Couldn't be done, I think. But yeah, it's still hard to recommend over like Pinata, of course. Pinata is a classic. Alfredo, Bandana, stuff like that, And then we have I don't have any notes for this, so it's kind of hard for me to articulate here. But we have this album. Oh shoot, I keep hitting the wrong thing. We have Drill Music in Zion by Lupe Fiasco. This is the first Lupe Fiasco record I listened to this year. And honestly, I didn't know what else to think when looking at this, when going into this record. This is like when you hear Drill Music in Zion, I expect this to be drill music, of course. This is a drill as the fucking art cover too. But of course not. I had no clue what Lupe Fiasco. Like, to me, for some reason, I connected Lupe Fiasco to like Fabio Foreign. I thought they were gonna be like similar people. I don't know. They gave us the same I don't know, the name, I guess, something that for some reason in my mind, and I guess the title, of course, is not drill music. Of course, he's not trying to make drill music. It's some reference to, I think, The Matrix, which I don't really understand yet. Of course, I don't think, it's something. Apparently he made this in only like 72 hours because of this Japanese ideology of like imperfection is perfection, something like that. This is pretty cool. I don't know exactly how or what or exactly what, 3 days? Like, did he write it in 3 days? Did he record it? I don't know, something like that. Whatever, pretty impressive. However, that's okay. Like, I don't care if it's impressive. I care about how good the work is. This very edge of it, I think I truly appreciate it over time more. I think this might be in the next section, of course, later on. But right now, it's in here because I don't know. I think there are better ones that, to me, are going to last more than this record. Um, so, at first, Lupe Fiasco. I think he's also like I forget. He's also like teaching hip hop at MIT, which is pretty cute. Which is pretty kind of, honestly, that kind of help maybe persuaded me in a certain direction with the album. I felt like maybe the first listen, I felt that it was maybe too clever or too like, I don't want to say white because that sounds racist because he's freaking like educated because he's a teacher. If I say white, that sounds but like it was kind of more rippity rapidity type thing. I don't know. Like, especially even towards the intro with the whatever guest female artist. I felt maybe a bit too rippity rappity, a bit too straightforward with his rhymes of just back and back and back, sway in. But over time, I've gotten a little bit. I've numbed towards that, and I've definitely think this is a very easy and enjoyable and um, nice listen that I think I need to delve into more. A lot of people you know, really like this album. I think like NFR podcast both put them like top five above some albums that I liked better. So I think I need to really go back and appreciate this and appreciate Lupe Fiasco as an MC because this is my first album from him. So of course, I'm maybe a bit more critical, of course. Second, albums that I felt like I enjoyed, but they never really had the chance to be a top contender. You know, one of the ones that, like, no matter what, these probably weren't gonna be in the top five, for example. This that wasn't gonna happen. That is not gonna happen. But the first one, Gemini Rights by Steve Lacy, very catchy indie record. If somebody says this is their favorite, though, I'm gonna be maybe a bit concerned. Maybe they're one of those people that this is TikTok. Did they ruin it? I don't know. Whatever. I think it's really enjoyable, really casual, bangers. Nothing else I need to say. Could I ask for more? Yeah, I think there may be some not as consistent points, but this should be, this is this is why I'm doing this video. I need to learn to articulate my feelings, my thoughts. I need to remember. I'm practicing my English here. You feel me? And I'm trying to make it quick because I don't want it to go too long. But yeah, Gemini Rights, there is something that kind of takes me back to it for some reason. I think like when I get tired of these other albums, this is something that kind of like I can chill out to. This is something I play when going to the bus and I just want to vibe and chill. This is something that I think maybe it's like this is freaking music for like white girls. I don't know. That just like a catchy, yeah. But it's something. I think if it wasn't as popular as it was, then that'd be maybe it's a bit too popular for what it is. I don't want I feel weird for putting it up here, but I did really like it. I did really like it. It's definitely had no chance of being the top contender of the year for me though. Next we have Quadeca's I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. Album killing Ghost of Himself. Yeah, has a whole ass like movie about it or film thing, music videos, something. I don't know. It's very very weird, very soundscapey, very Very unique. This is like this is Quadeca's Igor, you know, and similar to Igor, I've had some issues with it. I felt like the production maybe didn't connect with me as much consistently. Like with Igor could be one of like Igor is sometimes either one of my favorite albums or even my favorite album that I keep replaying it as the only thing I can, or a second time, oh, it just the production is a hitting the same. Maybe it's because it's IEM dependent. Maybe that's why. Maybe I just keep swapping it out too much, and it's just not something that I uh, not something that connects. Like it's hard to really get into it. But like I felt like also I feel like the volume on Spotify, even though I have like normalized volume, I think it's just really quiet for some reason. That I find myself turning up the music on this album in particular when I'm on my phone, and it's just annoying, I guess, which kind of makes me not want to put this album. But it's pretty cool. Album art is pretty cool too. Um, it's something that I think maybe I should return to. I feel like this conceptually, this is something that I felt like I would like a lot more. This is something that I think would resonate me, and I think it does resonate with a lot of youth, especially people my age, of course. The story behind this album, good. Like YouTube music turned into critically acclaimed, well beloved by everyone. Like this is gonna be some people's top one. To me, no. But yeah. It just doesn't do that for me. I definitely need to return it. There's some songs that I really like it, like the intro, um, like Born Yesterday, like some other ones. I did find myself that House Settling was maybe a bit kind of weird because I didn't find myself um, liking Danny Brown's vocals. They kind of sounded a bit too corny or a bit too weird, I guess. Not something I haven't really gotten myself to explore Danny Brown's great catalog as well, though. I still haven't listened to XXX or Atrocity Exhibition, even though they're apparently very great. Maybe I just need to get used to his vocals. But yeah. It just didn't hit for me there. Knots also wasn't as I think a lot of people really liked Knots. To me, it wasn't as energetic as I really liked it to be, especially Quadeca's voice. Also, the entire album I feel like it's gonna be weird to play live, of course. But yeah, other than that, pretty good, pretty good. A recommendation I could recommend to some people, not everybody, but to some people. Here. Bam! It's Almost Dry by Pusha T. No contention to me to be a top album of this year, especially with all the other great records, but this is something that I definitely have a sweet spot for it because this album kind of made me. This album is the thing I played when I was super tired and I just wanted to chill and vibe. This album helped me survive English 12. You know, I just have very nice memories. I think maybe it's a bit too long. I think maybe there's some weak points. Maybe even a skip or two. I think it has a weak Kanye feature too. That's okay. There's some great stuff, great moments that I think I need to return to more nowadays. Maybe I put on the back pedestal a little bit, not as maybe critically well thought out as Daytona, probably due to its length. But this is what could you want more? Pusha T on Kanye beats and Pharrell beats. It's freaking Pharrell versus Kanye, just back to back. Bam, very nice. Memorable moments, memorable samples, stuff like that. Good. It's also nice to you can play a game where you guess which one's Pharrell. Like you listen to the 4/4 thing for Pharrell and her So you could, it's nice to have that, and know, it's kind of fun. Bam, that is Pusha T. It's almost jive. Also, the album artwork is kind of confusing and complex, and I don't know. It's like freaking rust and blah blah blah, metallic. I don't know. It's hard to understand it for me. I just have some interest towards it. I don't know. Bam, bam, bam. We also have this album that, to me, uh, definitely was a surprise to me as well. It was Louis by Kenny Beats. It's one of the most, I don't know. It was very warm. It's very casual. It's very nice. It's very gentle. It feels like, to me, this was a lot like Nurture by Porter Robinson. Probably one of my favorite albums of 2021. I can't say last year anymore, but this was comforting. This was it's just blah blah blah. Very cool. Homage to his father, I think. Louis. Great freaking great song with JPEG Mafia. I don't know what I could ask for more. Of course, there's going to be a bit more interesting, but this was very consistent, very enjoyable, very high. It just no, I don't want to say it's not. No, it's not. Like, this is an album that kind of, it's hard for me to put into words because you can't make it simply. It's kind of I don't know, like, great sampling, production, okay, tell some story. His dad was some guy on a radio thing, announcer, yada yada, for some radio thing. And that's, tells a little bit backstory about himself. Of course, he's gonna have experience with this, blah blah blah, stuff like that. Why, I forgot to put it there. But it's also the album art is pretty cool too. It's very modern. It's very very aesthetic, as somebody would put it. I don't have much to say on it, but it was one of my favorite albums of this year, and it definitely, I just really like it, and it definitely grades as one of the best. Kenny Beats. Kenny Beats is kind of a wacky name, to be honest, but okay. Then we have KD3, Nas. This is gonna be short because I felt like this album really grew with me. It's just great bars from some guy who's like, what, 50? I don't know. He's an old ass man, and you get to hear him say like freaking SMH OM freaking blah blah blah, freaking Shaw blah blah blah, like spitting out like freaking lingo. Yeah. Ah. And yeah, consistent record, well loved, something I return to all the time because it's Nas. He is braggadocious. He is bringing back some old school flair with some modern twist. He got the Hit Boy on as the producer, sole producer, I think. Bam. What could you ask for more? Well, very well produced. Crazy. I don't know. Like, there's a lot to love about the record, but it may be isn't as intriguing to me as the ones before it. Next. I'm going quick with these because I don't want this to be like so. I get it. I did not plan this video to be too long. Jockstrap. I Love You, Jennifer B. Forward thinking. It was not only. What am I saying? But like, it's Jockstrap. I'm very interested in what they're going forward. One of the most weird, I guess. It's pretty weird. Like, it's pretty out there in terms of, but it kind of peaks you in. It's creative. Even the sound, like, it's electronic pop blend that with some violin.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the songs on the record are memorable in their own ways. Um, take me somewhere. They're very easy listening. Um, to me, I think like even on first listen, it is weird. It is experimenting, I guess. I don't like it's experimental, but experimental in like a pop way. I don't know. Just electronic kind of effects. Whoa, blah blah blah. You also get some cool cool lines. Freaking metronome, stuff like that. I don't know. Cool. I just want to say that I think that like it was just one of my favorite albums that I've returned to a lot for various reasons, and even more than blah blah blah. Some albums that I guess would be maybe critically better, and I do think there's going to be some things to improve on. Of course, I'm very excited for their next record because I think they could definitely put something out with but it's still, whew, I'd be very happy, even if that was their only record. You know, it's like it's very nice. Could be even like a classic for me. Bam. Okay, a little bit controversial, but okay. But it's gonna be Rex Orange County. Who cares? Um, to me, this okay, back it away. There was some like freaking allegations, of course, of oh my gosh, my cat got let in. 1 second. There's some allegations of like, I think sexual assault, but I think there's not enough evidence. Whatever, keep the artist out of the art. Like, if Kanye made a good record this year, if Donda 2 was good, I'd put him on the list. Okay, you know, I'm not gonna say whatever. I didn't listen to his shit, whatever. But yeah, who cares? Rex Orange County. I gotta slow down. It's like it's pop, very fun, casual listen. This is music for teenage girls who love Tyler the Creator. You know, there's a very specific like they're probably I don't know. I picture just that. I just picture white probably. They bump Tyler the Creator and Rex Orange County. There's some few weak points like I'm making time maybe shoot me down if you want it. I think those were maybe not as consistent or piqued my interest towards the whole track. Of course I did enjoy them. I don't skip them. I never really I'm not really a guy who likes skipping things, but I didn't find myself going back. But of course there's got some bops. Bam, amazing. Freaking keep it up. Freaking what was that one? The Shade, you know. Yeah. Okay. This this is going to be the last album in this section. This is Richard Dawson, The Ruby Chord, and wow. To me, like this is very edging out of my next section, which is my top 8, but Richard Dawson put out a very, very consistent, very, very epic and grand and interesting album that is way too long, which is kind of one of the reasons why I didn't put it up there. But like one of the songs, like okay, let me pull up my Spotify. I can show you, but it's kind of I guess like this is an album that is just memorable because it's freaking crazy. Of that, it's oh oh, oh. We is that the first song is 41 minutes, and it's also the most played song. But yeah, the Hermit, like you need freaking Chain Rule to freaking for this album. Like there's an album in an album here. Like in this 80-minute long album, 41 is just minutes of it. So half the album is one song. Like that is, like you can fit entirety of Kids See Ghost in this album. You can fit entirety of Crest in this album. Like, oh my gosh. However, I don't feel like it was bloated because there are only 7 songs, of course. In my opinion, I listened to it 2 ways. I listened to either the first song, which is The Hermit, tells some very great tale of the freaking hermit, I guess. I assume the hermit is this guy on the cover. This cover is honestly awesome too. It's just really nice to look at. I don't know, it just piques my interest. It's complex, very great, artsy, you know. It's a But yeah, Hermit, I either listen to The Hermit or I start at Thicker Than Water and just play the rest of it. Like I either play The Hermit or I skip The Hermit and just play the rest of the album. You know, each are 40 minutes long. I just choose one. That being, you know, of course, I can't play it full through because I don't. It's hard to have 1 hour 20 minutes. You know. However, like this song, like this entire album was like, in my opinion, very definitely a hard recommend to a lot of people, but in my opinion, it was just he was very well versed in its words. It was emotional. The Hermit probably brought me to tears, in a way that I just like a lot of songs don't bring me to. Like it's one of those songs that I got emotionally invested to. The story of this guy, blah blah blah, going out, and then freaking it's a very gentle atmosphere that builds up to this one moment, and then there's like freaking choir of people, blah blah blah, yeah, and then you have the other songs, freaking, which are all filled with very catchy, very nice singer songwriter, something mixed genre of pop, not, but it's like it's folk, it's indie. I don't know. I don't really like genres, but it's. I like it. I like it. I like it. I return to it all the time. And it's gonna be something that I think I like. Like, it's a gem. It's a gem to listen to, and it's something that I gotta keep hydrated, man. Talking for so long, and yeah, but it's not something that I'm very good at. Okay. The Ruby Chord by Richard Dawson. So much emotion. So much nice, well-built songwriting. Oh my god. But I'm going to go now into the top 8. All of these could be number 1. If you put it as your number 1, I would very much respect that. And in a lot of other weaker years, these could definitely be my top picks of this year. I just found it very competitive. But yeah. Here is, of course, I'm gonna have this one. Of course, this one was gonna appear up. Anyways, it was I did not forget Kendrick, Mr. Morale, and the Big Steppers. I think this kind of edges it in. I don't find myself returning it too much. But that's probably due to me kind of waiting for the expectations or like talk of this album to die down. Now that 2022 is over, I do want to go back to the album with a maybe more fresh sight, because I feel like this album is maybe underrated and overrated at the same time. There's just a lot of people that, okay, they put it as the album of the year, which is like, okay, you could, but I like the people who do that. I feel like maybe could be going off of Kendrick's name, of course, and then people are shitting on it, of course. But this is one of the most in my opinion, this is something that I can't really. Like, what else could I ask more of him? This was something so vulnerable, so powerful. so interesting too. There's so much like like if I go to this, like this just diversifies his entire catalog, you know. This is something that definitely adds um a lot of nice, and it's, in my opinion, it is growing very well. This is aging super well to me. Um Especially like, you know, mm, that I didn't feel like I was. I think maybe at first it didn't really maybe the production was a little bit flat, or maybe Kendrick, I found maybe Kendrick, okay, similar to the Freddie Gibbs thing, he's already established, he's already has a great reputation. Maybe I didn't feel like he was trying hard enough, maybe I didn't feel like he was pushing out, experimenting, hungry for the first position. But that's not what he was doing. He was just, that's not. I'm not gonna ask that of him because he's done that in the past. This is not what Kendrick is gonna be in 2022. This man is aging. This, like, okay, like I don't want him being an old man, freaking playing like the young guys. I guess he doesn't need to, in my opinion. There's the past records that are classics. This adds to it. This is great. That being said, of course, because of that, um, I do think that this will age way a lot better in the future years. Just being a Kendrick project too, and a good Kendrick project, this is gonna be memorable. This is gonna be brought up, and it's why it stands in my top 8. Um, okay, next one of my, I think my second favorite, third favorite record that is hip hop related. There's a lot of hip hop in this list. I think I've tried to get in more. Hip hop is the most favorite category, genre nowadays. Cheat Codes, Danger Mouse, Black Thought. It is, I guess, it's just a huge recipe for success with these, with this list. I mean, with this album. Great, you got an MF Doom posthumous freaking verse. Okay, you just have to. It definitely, I don't know. It's just great production, great samples, great bar. It's just great everything. That I felt like maybe it wasn't too unique or distinct or interesting. It's just great. Everything's great. You got Danger Mouse and Black Thought collabing. Like, wow, short, one of the best of this year. I'm gonna just shorten that because there's not much else I want to say or want to add, because just just listen to the album. It's very high octane, very. Want me to scoop for you? No, it's okay. Sorry, okay. It is. Okay, what was I going? Cheat codes. Of course, there's gonna be some. I do find myself maybe not getting tired of it. Actually, like I think it's just one of the. It's very short, 38 minutes, um, and there's some great songs on there too as well. Great freaking classic features too. You got Raekwon, you got MF Doom, of course. You got Joey Badass, Conway the Machine, you know, stuff like that. Throughout the entire project, 12 songs. Also, I forgot to say, you got songs like Aquamarine, but it's consistency. Expectations. Did it meet my expectations? Yes. Did it exceed my expectations when going into the album? Honestly, yes, over time. But this is something that knocks it out of the park that is going to be remembered. Like, I think a lot of people actually, maybe in my opinion, aren't appreciating it as much, um, as I think it should. But that's okay. That's okay. An album that I'll return to. The album art honestly looks pretty cool as well. Next album. Before I get tired. Before my parents yell at me. Um, Dragon, New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You. Big ass long name by Big Thief. The album honestly feels like this cover art. It's like your friends all huddled up at a campfire, and one person got their guitar, they're singing. Got a whole band. The band is very interesting too. Some weird ass sounds, I say. It's a very interesting, cool band, I say. But oh my gosh, I gotta stop with that. But yeah, some people's number one, of course, not my number one. I feel like it was maybe a little bit too bloated at times. I felt like it was hard for me to get towards the end of the song because of its length and because of, just how much there is of it. 20 songs, 1 hour 20 minutes, as long as the Richard Dawson album. But of course, you got some classics, like Change, of course, the first song, intro, good slow. Bam, you got the title track, you got Spud Infinity. Bam, very memorable, very content. I don't know. There's just a lot of enjoyable things that a lot of people like musical moments. You focus more on the musical moments in here, and just enjoy the sound or of that each song brings. They're all unique enough to kind of pique my interest over time. You get some like country, some folk, whatever. You get a lot from this band. Like it's a band that I kind of want to look forward to, and I'm glad that this album is actually getting Nami recommendations. It's pretty popular too. Like it's surprisingly more popular than I would imagine. But yeah. hmm Okay, and of course, this album was gonna come eventually. One of the bam Black Midi, Hellfire. Number 5 on my list. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. To me, this album was it's hectic, it's angry, it's energetic, it makes you want to like. I don't know. This low key could be like. I don't know. This is like. It's kind of weird. It's kind of out there for people. Like it's like freaking what math rock, I guess technically. But you got some crazy songs like especially like the race is about to begin. And then you get some chill songs though, like 27 questions. Something I want to say is not as okay. Something I want to say is not as it's something that I could is not the easiest recommendation. Of course, it's not something that but it's something that maybe a lot of old school, a lot of nerd type things could like compared to a lot of other stuff. It's this is a good, in my opinion, a good state at what rock is moving towards, post punk, blah blah blah, math rock, blah blah blah. Great, great, consistent, easy to listen. 38 minutes, 39 minutes, 10 songs. Oh yeah. In my opinion, an improvement to Cavalcade and Schlagenheim. This is great addition. Probably their best track, one of the most exciting, especially. Of course, with the crazy freaking album art, of course, as they have. Black Midi is as talented as ever. All right. Next album. Let me check what I have on the next album. Okay, it's this album, which of course maybe a bit low for a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people would have as their number one best album. This is an easy number one for some people, but it is Jid, The Forever Story. I think the first half of the album is a lot connected with me a lot more towards than the second album for me. Um, the top so good, but and it's very well. It's 16 songs, I'm pretty sure. And there's like the extended edition version that came out after 16 songs. Yeah, 15 without the one with 2007, which has whatever. Um, something infinity, eight in like 8 songs, split by Brotherham and System, and it's gonna be like a friggin' infinity type symbol thing. I don't know, like the eight is like sideways infinity, something like that, and if that's forever, blah blah blah, something cool, something crazy like that. But it didn't like I like whatever. I don't even know. I wasn't the biggest fan of Jid, and this album kind of honestly changed that for me. This album kind of made me when I returned to Jid features. It kind of I don't know, like after I got like maybe used to it or recognize his voice, when I hear him on like some like even like songs like on like Denzel Curry's Taboo, like that one big freaking cut, like it made me appreciate verses like that, a bit more. This album was cements him as something a little bit cements him as maybe the future, even though he's technically a little bit on the older side, and that's okay. But to me, it's not as one second. To me, maybe not as exciting as the ones before. This is, however, still number 4 of my entire list. A lot of number ones. I wouldn't agree because I didn't find the second half to be as engaging as great songs like Radar, like Dance Now, Crack Sandwich, Surround Sound. You got Cody Blue, blah blah blah, and it was hard for me to and like great moments that felt like a lot of songs there, so much beat switches. It was like 2 songs in one, and it was just crazy. It's like with that alone, that was gonna be maybe theoretically the best, of course, but enjoyable wise, I had one other record in terms of hip hop and 3 more records in terms of all other genres, and that's kind of I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna next. It is. What is this? What is this album? It is Cave World. By the Viagra Boys from Sweden, I think. I think I saw a live performance. They played at the freaking IKEA like concert. It's a very I'm a big fan of satire, of course. And it's very satirical. 40 minutes, 12 songs, short, enjoyable, and one of the most exciting and great rock post-punk. I don't know what even post-punk is, so like vague that I just put it on anything, but bam, it's hugely satirizing like the world and what people are freaking turning, I don't know, their DNA, shit like that. Creepy crawlies under your skin is what happens when you get vaccines and shit like that. It's just talking about how people are like becoming monkeys. Ooh. And speaking of monkeys, there's like one song where there's like there's a whole siren that sounds like a monkey screech, and it's so cool, and like there's so much themes. There's even a song that's like called freaking Return to Monkey. A lot of monkeys here calling people these, you know, Um, and there's like song like oh song like of course he plays a whole character and he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing these basic things, I'm so cool now, even though it's like the bare minimum, and he's talking about how blah, blah, other people are stupid for blah blah blah. Ain't No Thief is one of my favorite songs. It's so exciting, and he's talking about how he's freaking he has these very specific items, and it just tells a whole story. Trying to like what I ain't no thief, even though and he's just making these shit up of how he got these very specific items, like this special one of like freaking one of one items, stuff like that. Yeah. Ooh. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Great album. Consistent, exciting. My number 3. And with number 2 pick, I think it has my most listened to song of the year, which is this one. Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. It also includes the deluxe version, of course. But it was, in my opinion, it's one of Denzel, it's probably Denzel's best. 45 minutes, I think, around, or 46, I forgot. 14 songs, 13, 14. Pretty okay, pretty long, but it's definitely one of the, in my opinion, one of the most consistent, one of the most exciting. It showcases Denzel's skill. It shares a bit more. It's personal. It's going into a lot of shit. You got these big parts, like Ain't No Way, of course, which kind of reminds me of that other long song with a bunch of features on Taboo. It got Walkin', probably the song of the year. It's rap song of the year, in my opinion. Not song of the year for me, but raps, hip hop. Consistent. Every song, in my opinion, is so memorable. Even songs that a lot of people aren't a fan of, like Troubles, like X-Wing, blah blah blah, stuff like that. I still really love those, which kind of puts me. It's with its consistency. I definitely appreciate this more than the Forever Story. The highs, the consistency, chill. He is walking through everything. This is something I walk a lot. I relate to this song. Oh my god, I walk every day. What the hell? Stuff like that. Denzel is one of my favorite artists, of course, and this is a great release from him, and especially the deluxe too. You get these new takes on other songs. You also get some new songs too, and deluxe is great. This album was great. Nothing else to be said. This is my number 2 pick. What's gonna be my number 1? It's kind of obvious if you look at my list. I'm gonna let you guess. I don't know what you're gonna guess. You have something in your mind? Whoop. Okay. Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's probably easy to guess with the picks on my list here. But it's gonna be my favorite album. Probably even one of my favorite of currently out of all albums. It is the Plane album. Black Country, New Road, Ants from Up There. So big, so awesome. This album is my comfort album. Nearly an hour long. It is. It is a good length for me. I find myself stopping myself. Like, even if I'm in, this is one of the only albums where if I'm in one of the songs, I want to go and stay in the song before I finish it. This is something that, like, okay, I'll just do something extra while the song is playing. This makes me do shit. This moves me. It's so emotional, so raw, so interesting. And I don't like, okay, nerd, blah blah blah, whatever, cool, drinking time signature, yada yada. I don't care, whatever. It's kind of a basic pick, whatever. This is definitely my pick, and it's by a far margin too, you know. But damn, almost every song could feel like the best song, you know, and almost every song could feel like closers too. And okay, Chaos Space Machine, exciting, kind of like a huge like musical type thing. I don't know, it's just very nice, very memorable, very jammy. Oh yeah, bam, you blah blah blah, bury the ashes, shit like that. Wham, you know, Concord, slow build up into one of the most probably top three of the album. One of the best, like a closer, huge build up. Blah blah blah, talking about how he's like she's a freaking like Concord for like this fucking plane, bro. Huge freaking shit. He's the big plane collapsing, destroying everything, destroying the relationship, I guess, as you would say. Like you can interpret it as like this. Like I feel like I could relate to this album a little bit as well. Not entirely, but it's. I got that emotional connection. You feel me? I just love this album. I'm just gonna speak about everything. Bread Song, what a slow burn up into one of the most powerful things, you know. Especially even if you're comparing with freaking Concord, one of the best. How could you follow it up? You know, great whatever analogies, lyrics, whatever. Bread Song, you know, huge pain, a huge hurdle, you know. It's kind of a dumb lyric, you know, in context, but every lyric he says is always so, you take it seriously with his, like, I don't know, it just feels raw, it feels him. He's Isaac is such like a huge important member. So it's sad that you see him go, but he just, yeah, I don't know, like freaking whatever. This bed is not placed right here. No man or piece of bread. Like, okay, I don't know. You can interpret it many ways. You know, you could say that he's begging for intimacy. You know, she is saying no. This bed is not for, like freaking. You know, it's like it's a struggle. You know, no man should ever have to like beg to be intimate with their partner, right? You know, stuff like that. That's not something that's like, and then like, okay, so it's like, oh, toxic, blah blah blah. You get the themes of that later, but blah blah blah. Or he's also freaking eating in her bed, stuff like that. Why are you eating in her bed? That's kind of weird, you know. Goodwill Hunting, so emotional too. One of a lot of people's fan favorite. Great. You get some female vocals too, female back-end vocals in the back, of course. Slow, big, nice. One of the easier listens of the album, especially because it's less of a slow build-up than the others. It's more nicer in general. You get there's still big, powerful lyrics, you know. If what I remember, you know, if I was on a freaking spaceship, blah blah blah, you know, he will you know, all these skate pods are full, shit. He'll just instead of like with all your photos and memorabilia as your family members, he'll just freaking explode and wait in the wreckage. Wait for her to come back, you know. Self-sacrificing, so emotional. He has no self-confidence or he has no assertive. He's weak. He's a beta male. I can relate to but, you know, it's so powerful, so emotional. When you get that, and then you get to Haldorn, which is like some freestyle place that was recorded in Haldorn, whatever. Oh, again. It turns out that Haldorn is actually my most played for some reason. I think it's probably due to Spotify Shuffle. I don't really listen to Shuffle this album. This album I listen just fully through, but maybe occasionally. I think I have accidentally went in Shuffle, and I just rolled with it. And I think maybe just Shuffle favor this, because Shuffle on Spotify isn't technically fully accurate. But yeah. Mark's theme. you know, you know, Mark's theme is Mark's theme. Of course, not a shining, but it got some meaning. Of course, I think Lewis, which I guess technically you could say is the front man because I think in performances he's at the middle, like Isaac's on the edge, and Lewis is kind of the middle sax guy, which is not traditional, I guess. He plays. Then, ironically, Mark, I think Mark died of like COVID or something. Something. He's like a uncle or something like that. Ironically, Mark wouldn't have liked the song because he likes more jammy, hardcore stuff. So this graceful thing he probably would not like. Probably some other meaning in there, but to me, I didn't want to delve into much. The place where he inserted the blade, one of a fan favorite, or a general public favorite in my opinion. This is just, there's not much else to say. This is one of the most, probably the best song of the year for a lot of people. And this is the test song I use for a lot of IEMs because I feel like if I get emotional when listening to it on the IEM, then it's probably good that I probably like some bits of the IEM, I listened to this so much. I don't know. I've just listened to it so much. What can I say? Place where he inserted the blade gets talked about so much already. It's a lot of people's favorite. You got freaking flute. You got freaking chorus. I mean choir friggin' yeah. Bam. Awesome. I don't know. It's just so good, man. It makes me want to die, man. Snow globes. It's like gods. It's freaking Futurama reference. Freaking I don't know. Gods talking about how like some things are gonna. In my opinion, is talking about how like okay things happen, shit happens. You can't control it. Gods. Blah, blah, blah. Some things were meant to whatever. Something like that. It's kind of a hit or miss. Either you really love it, maybe it's even your own. For some people, it's their only album they love, or you kind of don't like it. I like it. Yeah. Basketball shoes. This is the true fan favorite. I think it got rated number one, in the BCNR main subreddit. Basketball shoes. This is kind of what the album was entirely revolved around. This is the true ending. Out of all the other endings, this is the best. Out of all the other album songs that sound like endings, this is the true one. This is like whole like 3 whole sections. It's 12 minutes. It's so long, but it's like opens your eyes and make this album that if they starts playing, I'll just stop doing any. Like I'll just instead of going home, stop and listen to music, I'll like sit outside at the street just listening, it just hits. It hits. Basketball shoes. Basketball shoes. I think there was also something story. I think he had like these Jordans on that was called like the Jordan 11 Concord. It's the Concord. Oh, like the drummer had these shoes, whatever. Yeah, something like that. Basketball shoes. The best, most interesting, maybe a bit slow to start off for some people. So it's not an easy recommendation compared to the place where he inserted the blade. But yeah, great song. I love it. I'm going to conclude this video because I don't want to spend too much time. And honestly, I'm just going to really upload this because I don't want to redo it because I feel like I could refine my thoughts, but this is not the point. I kind of want, it's more raw. Bam, release something out. Shit like that. Number 1 album of the year. No, yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go, freaking do homework. I don't know, man. See you guys.